in sports, there's a lot of need for that technological background and understanding.
Yep.
Because people don't realize how not digital, I don't know how to say that, how analogic the sport industry is in general.
I mean, it's crazy, right? Because the sport industry is not super advanced in terms of digital. However, there's a lot of money being poured in because everybody's excited about sports. So like making yourself a space in the sports industry is exciting to everyone. Everybody wants to be part of it. So there's irrational money being thrown in the sports industry. On the other side, so tech companies create great products, but they don't have a market fit because the clubs and the leagues and the organizations aren't necessarily advanced enough to understand the value, spend the money on them, et cetera. And so it's that whole gap that we're looking to bridge on our side to say, hey, we're going to help you identify which ones are the good technologies. We're going to help them shape their business strategy, everything that they need, their go-to-market, their pricing, et cetera, and then present it to the governing bodies, to the clubs, to the leagues. Say, this is how we set it up. This is why we think they're the best. We come with a stamp of having done the due diligence, say this is the best technology in that space. This is how it's going to help you. And make sure that they know how to talk in the right, proper way. And I think that it's incredible because there's more and more technologies coming to this space. It's more and more complicated to get it in. The sales cycle are incredibly slow. And this is what we're looking to do to help everybody win from it. The clubs, the leagues, the different organizational bodies, and then the tech startups, the right ones that have potential, that create value, help them accelerate their go-to-market strategy.
Because it's incredible. And I've seen a lot of, also during my journey, a lot of startups that create great products that really give answer to a problem that the industry have.
Yeah.
But when you see the business plan and the sales projections, they don't realize how difficult the sport industry is to penetrate.
Yeah.
And how long it takes on the sales cycle, what you were saying.
Yeah. It's exactly that, right? I'll take the example of LiveLike because obviously I'm a co-founder and like I'm still in that very entrepreneurial journey. And so 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we were talking about to everyone about gamification, community loyalty. And we're not inventing it, right? Social media has been around social. The engagement works. People want to participate. They want to be the content creators. And then the loyalty programs work in airline companies and hotel chains, right? Like, so we're just taking the best use cases of all the industry, putting in a tech stack to bring it to the organizations. It was like 5 years of education. And now we're at that point where we have huge collaborations with the likes of Canal+, beIN Sports, STC in this region, PSG, Chelsea. So we have a lot of like those big brands that are now behind us, which means that everybody's coming after. And on the other side, I have a Gameday. So Gameday is a dubbing and subbing company. Product is amazing. You want to record this podcast and like distribute it in Indie, we can translate it, right? It's not going to be perfect, right? There's growth, but the product is incredible. But the technology is incredible. But there's also a lot to help staff in terms of the products, the servicing. How do we actually understand how we work with a Bundesliga versus how we work with a PSG, right? There's all those elements of like, okay, technology at the service of the problems of the organization and at the growth of their revenues. And this is what we're helping organizations with. But it's really important to understand, you're going to do a business plan, you're going to promise a 3-year plan to your investors. Truth is, to get to the phase 1 of that is going to take you 2 years of education, relationship, like doing all the things that we know we have to do, which is travel the world to meet the people in person and win their trust.
Because the reality is, as sport industry, it's personal relationship driven. It's driven by personal relationship, 100%.
You know what? I was talking to one of the guys, our contacts in Real Madrid, and he told me something. I was like, he was talking to Florentino Perez, and he was like coming from the US with all tons of ideas. And he was saying, we need to do this. And he was like, tranquilo. The reality is, my business, I'm going to sell Casemiro. It was when Casemiro was sold to Manchester United for 80 million. That's going to be the revenue. Whether you choose X or Y in terms of technology might have a marginal difference of 50K of revenue at the end of the year. I'm sorry, but I don't really care. So it doesn't really matter who I choose. So then that is when technology is super important, but the relationship, the servicing, like what you're going to be able to bring as a human is like fundamental in our industry.
I think it goes also back to the values of the sport and how sport brings people together. This is an industry that needs people to to be together is based on those relationships.
And we know it, right? Like with our brothers being in sports, it's not necessarily like Morata, like he's a forward. It's not necessarily that the number 10 behind him is better, like he is the best player in the pitch. It's how complementary and how they're going to work together and like fulfill what, the hidden job behind the scene and all of that. And that personal relationship off the pitch, this is how you create the connections. It's very true in the sports industry as well.
And also the industry has something very unique, because if you think about any other business in the world, all the revenue that you generate, take a football club, all the revenue that a football club generates through marketing, through selling merchandise, through ticketing, through all the revenue sources, it's not invested back into the business. It's invested into the sport, in bringing the players, in being there, because ultimately, the best business plan in sport is winning. But you can't always win. So I always say that a strong content strategy, a strong business strategy help you win more when you win, and lose less when you lose.
Exactly. And I think that it's the biggest target. Like coaches have the same approach at a sports performance level, right? Like your week cannot be dictated on whether you win or lose the weekend before, right? It can be incredibly good if you win the weekend before and horrible at the weekend if you lose the weekend before. So that's exactly the same thing in the business. How do you manage to have a brand that is bigger than your day-to-day results so that you have a structure that's like as stable as possible? And I think that it's an incredible opportunity for us working in the industry right now, that now the markets have cap, right? Like the rights aren't going to go much higher. So now the clubs, to drive their revenues, have to look at technology. How do they optimize every vertical inside the club? And this is where technology is going to be at the service of that, to go get those marginal gains that will allow them to continue growing. And I think that that whole capping of the media rights value will bring that professionalization of the sport and just benefit to everyone at the end of the day.